Welcome to the Coachzing Show, helping you work less, earn more, and reach more people through creative content marketing. Join the Coach Zingers community, where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers come together to discover the latest trends, forge powerful joint ventures, and grow their business together. Go to coachzing.com/community to join. And now, here's your host, Doug Foresta.
Hello and welcome back to the Coachzing Show. This is your host, Doug Foresta, and this is the show that helps you coaches, therapists, speakers, and authors to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. And my guest with me today truly needs no introduction, but I will introduce him nonetheless. Jeff Goins is with me, and I know you'll get a lot out of this episode, so stay tuned. Jeff Goins is the author of 4 books, including The Art of Work. I know many of you are familiar with his work. You can visit him at goinswriter.com. That's Goins writer.com. I'll put that link on the show page as well. Jeff Goins, thank you for joining me on the Coachzing Show.
Thanks for having me, Doug.
Thanks. So, first what I'd love to do, instead of me doing a long introduction of you, maybe you can first, just for people that someone out there who's been living under a rock who doesn't know you, what if you could say a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Well, let's not offend the people under rocks. Those are
Yes.
good shelter. No, I if you've never heard of me, then you're like most people. I'm a writer, and I basically do 2 things. Excuse me. I basically do 2 things. I write books that are essentially self-help, inspirational books, and then I run an online business, coaching and teaching writers and creatives to succeed. And success may be making a living with your art, your creative work, or it could be building a blog and getting the attention that your message deserves. And I do that primarily through online courses. So those are kind of the 2 things that I do. I write books and teach online courses. I also do some speaking and some other things. But in terms of what I do for a living, it's basically that.
So this may be in some ways a silly question since you are so well known for blogging and writing, but who knows? I actually don't know the answers to this question at all, but I'm really curious about, for you in your own work, what is your favorite way to get the message out to the people that most need to hear it?
So I love writing, but if you write something, that doesn't mean that people have to pay attention to it. And so I had this weird hesitancy to want to market my work, and I guess it felt weird. I had a weird relationship with marketing for a long time, and I think a lot of creative people do. I mean, I think when you start marketing creative work, it can feel less artistic. It can feel less creative, and a lot of people are uncomfortable with promoting themselves. So I think that promoting yourself, running around, handing out your business cards, that sort of thing, is actually not a good promotional strategy anyway. I mean, I had a conversation at a coffee shop one time with a friend of mine. We were talking about money. We were talking about finance and investing, and it's just like, what choices do I make now so that I can actually retire at some point or not be working until I'm 90 years old? So we were just talking about that stuff, and this guy who apparently was a financial advisor just, was like sitting behind us, and as he was getting up to go, he said, "Hey, I couldn't help it overhear your conversation. Here's my card. Let me know if I can ever help you." And like I did what I think a lot of people would do, which is I threw the card away. Not because I was mad at that guy, but I was like, I don't think this works. Like, how is this working for you? The financial advisor that I know, like, and trust, the person whom I pay to, help me manage, my investments, is a guy that I met through a friend whom I trusted.
Right.
And that's the best kind of marketing, right? Is to find somebody you trust who will tell you about a service or product that you want or need, not the person who benefits from you buying that thing from them. So that's a long way of answering the question. What's my favorite strategy or favorite way to get the word out about the work? As a blogger, as a writer, as a content creator, I know that content doesn't always win. It's not necessarily king. It's important, it's essential, but just because you create great content doesn't mean that an audience is going to show up at your doorstep and say, okay, tell us things. We want to listen. You have a responsibility to talk about the work and get people to pay attention to it. And my favorite way to do that is through what's commonly called guest posting, basically writing content for other websites. That can be magazines, it can be online news sites, it can be something like medium.com, which has been a great channel for me recently. Or it could be, friends' blogs and stuff. But it's basically taking your writing, taking your work, and putting it somewhere people are already paying attention. So, going to popular blogs or blogs that are at least more popular than yours, and getting an opportunity to share your work, usually for free, in exchange for attention and eyeballs that you can hopefully, through a link or something, direct people back to your website. And so, yeah, that's my favorite way to do it, because it allows me to write more, and it allows me to share my work, on a publication or with an audience that wouldn't normally, find it, and then hopefully, they can connect back to what I'm doing, and it's free. You don't have to pay to do it. It takes time, but it's something that almost anybody can do, and it has probably been the best strategy for me to build a tribe and get my work out there to more people.
I love it, and of course, right? It's it's that whole "if you build it, they will come." And
right?
So many
yeah,
people,
no,
yeah, it's like no, they will not come. And so you're taking other people's existing platform and then getting your message in front of them. How do you decide what is a good match for you? Like which opportunities to take when it comes to guest blogging?
Well, I think when you're getting started, any opportunity is a good opportunity to take.
That's true.
But I think anybody who has an audience that is significantly larger than yours, and that's a hard thing to quantify, but typically, a fraction of the people, a small fraction, like less than 10% of the people that are reading that blog are going to engage with the content that you create. Now that really depends on the engagement level of the blog or the audience that you're trying to reach. But if if you have 100 readers on your blog and you're trying to, get 1,000 readers, like, and maybe your metric is email subscribers, which tends to be how I gauge real engagement and permission. And you want to get 1,000. And you want to guest post on a blog that has double the audience that you have, but you're going to basically get 10% of those people. Again, this is like real quick and dirty math.
Yeah.
So they've got 200 people, you've got 100. You want to get to 1,000. You got to do a lot of those gigs, right? You basically have to do 100 of those guest posts to get 1,000 subscribers, right? Or I guess you've got to do 90 because you already have 100. Because you're doing 90, you're getting 10 subscribers each time. You do that, you do that 90 times, and you're gonna get 900, and you'll get 1,000. So that's probably not enough. You probably want to find something that's a significantly larger audience than yours. And so if I've got 100, I want to get to 1,000. I need to reach out to the blogs that have an audience of 1,000 to 10,000. If I'm at 1,000, probably 10,000 plus. If I'm at 10,000, hundreds of thousands. If I'm at 100,000, upwards of 1 million. And so I would say probably 5 to 10x of whatever your audience size is. But especially when you're beginning, just take whatever opportunity you could get and leverage that for future opportunities. But typically, it's the audience has to be bigger than yours, and it has to be relevant. Now, for me, what that meant was I was a writer who was basically trying to figure out, how do I market myself? How do I talk about the work that I'm doing so that people will engage with it? How can I build a platform so that I can publish a book? And how do I get people to buy the books? That sort of thing. So what was I doing at the time as a writer? Well, I was reading a lot of marketing blogs. I was reading a lot of publishing and writing blogs. And I was reading some online business blogs too, because those represented pieces of what I was doing. And on my blog, I began to describe this journey of how I was trying to figure this out. And I essentially built an audience being a guinea pig, saying, I'm a writer. Here's what I believe about writing. And I want to make a living as a writer. How do I do this? I'm going to share with you what I learned along the way. So when I started guest posting, I went to those blogs that I read that represented a portion of the kind of audience that I wanted to reach. So if I'm a writer reading other marketing blogs, then maybe there are more people like me who are doing that. But I wasn't, I guest posted on these sort of ancillary blogs in terms of the topics that they were covering. I wasn't just blogging for the kind of blog that I was creating. I was doing these ancillary things, but it wasn't a complete one-off. Like I wasn't writing for like the knitting blogging community, which is a thing. It's a total thing. I did this webinar the other day where my friend Grant Baldwin was talking about getting booked as a public speaker, and he used what he thought was like a random, funny, hey, like people think, oh, I could never get booked as a speaker because my topic is so niche. He goes, well, let's pick a really niche thing, right? Let's pick knitting, and let's see if you're a knitter, and you have a blog about knitting. Let's talk about that and find out if there's an audience out there, if you can get booked as a speaker. So he Googles, knitting conferences, and there's like, 1 million results or whatever. And he goes through the top 10 results on Google, and he goes, here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. And he goes, so there you go. And in the audience was a blogger who had a knitting blog. So, there's everything out there. And for me, it needs to not be a one-off, but if you're doing something specific, you can probably build your audience by essentially taking pieces of other people's audiences or finding segments of other audiences. You're not taking them because they're probably going to keep reading that blog, but you're complementing the work that other people are doing in a hybrid way where you're hopefully doing something new and original, essentially by stealing from other people. But you steal from so many different sources, it becomes something very original. And I was doing that with the content that I was creating. So where did I guest post? Well, I started going back to the blogs that I was stealing from. And again, this is like ethical stealing, like Austin Kleon kind of stealing. You're borrowing and you're attributing. I'm not talking about anything unethical. But the places that I was learning from, I went back and started guest posting on those places or blogs like them. And I think, starting out wherever you can start and then stair-stepping your way to those bigger opportunities, that's sort of the process to go about. But I would look for blogs that are like mine or blogs that talk about something that is relevant to my audience that isn't a complete one-off.
That is so, I've never really heard anyone put it that way. That is so brilliant about how to build your own audience by appropriating from these other complementary places. I'm really curious to hear from you about, you've been working with so many writers and bloggers, and what do you see as the biggest mistake or mistakes that people make when they try to get out there and share their work?
I really think the biggest mistake I see, and this just could be because I'm sort of a sensitive guy or whatever, and I really care about relationships, but I think it's all of the social faux pas that I see people making. So for me, relationships were really, really important. And the old school word for that is networking, but I don't love that term because it creates this connotation of what that guy did at that coffee shop where he dropped his
he was networking,
card.
Right.
He was networking. And I don't hate that. I don't think you're a bad person if you do that. I just think it's the least effective way to make a human connection.
Yeah.
So if you go to a cocktail party or something and you're quote unquote networking or a conference and your job is to give as many people as possible your business card, my belief, and this is based on lots of experience, frankly, of doing it both ways, is that you will be less successful than the guy or gal who says, no, I'm going to connect with 5 people and I'm going to have a 15-minute meaningful conversation with these people where they will remember me, a week from now, as opposed to just giving a bunch of people my card. I don't have any problem with business cards, but I'll go to a conference and somebody will say, hey, can I have your card? And I'll go, I don't have a card.
Right.
I feel guilty. But the reality is, there's the internet. If you want to find me, you just Google me and all my information is there. You can come find me. So if you want to find me, you can find me. And if I want to find you, I should be able to find you. So that's sort of, I guess a marketing lesson. If you need a business card to communicate how or where people can find you, you aren't adequately using the internet. Again, nothing wrong. I mean, lots of people do business with business cards, and I totally respect that. That's just not the world that I'm in. So what are people doing wrong? I think they're doing that wrong, the relationship side of things. I think connecting with fewer people in a more powerful way will actually give you a bigger audience. I mean, it's that Kevin Kelly 1,000 true fans idea. Kevin Kelly said that if you don't need 1 million fans, you need 1,000 true fans. It's better to have 1,000 people who love you, who will buy everything that you create, who will go to every event or concert that you perform, than it is to have 1 million lackluster people who are just sort of following the rest of the pack. And I think that 1,000 true fans tends to start with 10 true friends. It begins with really making friends with people, connecting with people, trying to help them. And if you help them get to where they're going, they're going to help you. People sometimes go, oh, well, I don't want to help people just so that they'll help me. No, that's not why you do it. And you'll help some people who will screw you over, and you'll help some people who won't help you back. And you'll go, that's great. I love that you won. And you will help some people who will find a way to tell somebody about what you're doing. And you go, oh my gosh, I helped that person 5 years ago and this thing happened. And I didn't do it for that reason, but this amazing thing happened. I call it a beautiful byproduct. Helping people for the sake of helping people. But if you do that enough, as my dad always told me growing up, and I never understood it really until probably my 30s, what goes around does come around. And I see people trying to do that, and they're doing it poorly. And I think it really comes down to treating people well, treating them with dignity, giving them respect, and just being humble. I meet so many people on the internet who think they're a bigger deal than they are. And it's, the internet gives us, social media gives us this inflated sense of self-importance.
Right.
I'm not being humble when I say, well, if you haven't heard of me, then you're like most people. That's the truth.
Right, sure. In the scheme of the world, right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the truth. I mean, I live in Franklin, Tennessee. I go to the same coffee shop every day, and they say, "What's your name again?" I go, it's Jeff. And they go, "Oh yeah, I forgot that." And it's okay. Like, you see a lot, like, that doesn't offend me. I am intentionally trying to go to that coffee shop, Frothy Monkey, so that it can become my Cheers and eventually can become the place where everybody knows your name. I'm not there yet. I'm not Cliff yet for Frothy Monkey, but I'm trying to get there. But yeah, like, you shouldn't expect people to know who you are. But if we spend enough time with, a small enough group of people, we start to think, oh, I'm a big deal. And you're not. I was at a pub one time, and Taylor Swift walked in back when she lived here. And she walked into the pub, and there was like 8 people there. And she walked in. She actually saw that there was no open seating. And I was literally sitting at a table with 8 seats at it, but I had like my laptop and a bunch of things spread out. And I looked at her and go, oh, that looks like Taylor Swift. Oh, whatever. I'm going to go back to writing my email.
Right.
She walked in, she looked around, and she turned around and left. And this one dude was like, oh, he recognized her. And he was like, oh, hang on, come back. And, you can sit here. And he moved everything and moved to another table so that she had, because everybody was sitting at these tables with like 6 empty seats, but there was no open tables because we're all being greedy and selfish, apparently. So then she walks in, sits down, has dinner, and leaves. And I thought, this is Taylor Swift. This was just a couple of years ago. She walked in, there was no seat, and she left. I have been at coffee shops and restaurants, and I've been at the mall, and I've seen, because I live in Nashville, and it's small enough that you run into these people, music stars and stuff. And there's a lot of movie stars that live here too. And like, they want you to know that they're there. And they want, a big to-do, and like, they're making a big deal out of it. And then I saw her walk in, and she didn't make a big deal about it. And I thought, that's what it means to be a star, where every step of the way you're still going, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. So it could be one big act, but I saw it in real life, and I was like, that's a lesson for me. The next time I go to some blogging conference and expect people to know who I am. So yeah, I think it's
interesting you say that too, because Taylor Swift, my understanding, she's brilliant on social media, and she makes a really great personal connection. She personally responds on Twitter. She's one of those few people who's on social media and personally responds to fans.
Yeah, I think she really cares. I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I'm a fan because of the integrity with which she does things. And if you've ever seen her win an award, and there's been plenty of awards that she's won, she's genuinely shocked. Now, maybe it's just all an act at this point, but I have two thoughts on that. One, it works.
Right.
So I don't know. I can't tell if I'm being, hoodwinked or not. And in a certain respect, it doesn't matter because, what matters is what you see. And there are plenty of people who don't put that act on and go,
Right.
yeah, I'm kind of awesome. I deserve this. But like I said, I saw it in real life and she just turned around and left. And I think, to be that young and that successful and have so many things working right. And she's got a lot of things dialed in. She's very smart. Businesswoman, that's a whole other conversation. But I love the idea that at every step of the way when we succeed, we have a choice. How do we interpret this? Is it, yes, I deserve this? Or is it, oh my gosh, I can't believe this?
Right.
And I think choosing the, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is the better route to go. So what does that mean in terms of how you start with social media or blogging or whatever? I think every opportunity is an, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Every opportunity is an opportunity to wow people, to not be entitled to. So if you're trying to connect with an influencer at a conference or something, it's just simple stuff like, buy their lunch, go where they are, not ask them to come where you are. I run into so many people who make demands and it's just like, I don't want to be the non-humble guy, but I want to sit them down and tell them like, this isn't going to work for you. The way that you build a fan base, the way that you connect with people is by treating each individual person with dignity, with care, and with humility. And I just don't see a lot of that on the internet. I see people thinking that they're immediately a big deal, burning bridges, criticizing other people. And I don't think it works long term. The most successful people, there's some successful people who are jerks. Most successful people I know are incredibly generous, incredibly nice, and I meet them, and sometimes I have these sort of conceptions about who I think this person is, and I have judged them. Frankly, I've judged them. I think they're snobs or something, and I meet them and I go, man, they deserve everything that they've gotten and more because they're incredible. Now I know there are jerks out there. You're listening to this, you're going, oh, there's jerks. I know, but I'm telling you, like. That in my experience is often the exception, not the norm, or that's not the thing that got them to where they are. There's plenty of people who hustle and they're incredibly generous and then they get to success and they get used to it and they get addicted to it and they feel like they deserve it and they lose the thing that got them there and you often see their careers start to go down.
Next time and I agree with you. I think most of the people I've ever met who are tremendously successful online have been really amazing, generous, kind people. But next time I meet a jerk, I'm going to say, you, my friend, are no Taylor Swift.
Yeah, so sorry. I mean, that was a bit of a rant.
No, I love that. I love it.
That's it. Yeah, I'm not going to say like, oh, like the number one mistake is people don't build an email list because that's a thing, right? But it's all about mindset. And I think, you can choose the mindset of, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I can't believe I get to do this. I'm going to work really hard and try really hard and do everything I can to wow the people around me right now. Or I can sit, around feeling entitled, waiting for some, big moment to come. And I think to choose humility in every one of those instances sets you up for the next bigger success.
Jeff Goins, so many great takeaways from this episode. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your words of wisdom. And please, again, if you want to give people how they can connect with you other than your business card.
My business card is my blog, goinswriter.com. That's like coins, but with a G, or groins, but without the R, which was what I was reminded of. They're like, why is he talking about groins? Because that was my nickname in middle school. And, lots of painful memories there. But now you won't be able to get that image out of your head. Goinswriter.com. You can find me there. I have a new book called The Art of Work. If you go to goinswriter.com, sign up for the email list, you'll get the first 2 chapters of that for free. So you can check that out. Thanks so much for letting me be a part of this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff Goins. Thanks for joining me on the Coachzing Show.
Thank you.
And I want to remind you as well that if you've not subscribed to the show, go ahead and visit us on iTunes. Click the subscribe button. You'll get new shows every week, helping you to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. Till next time, this is Doug Foresta at the Coachzing Show.
Thank you for listening to the Coachzing Show. Subscribe to us via iTunes, and please leave us a review. It helps us grow our awesome tribe. This show is brought to you by Coachzing.com's Speak to Publish book system. If your book is stuck in your head, we can help you get it out in just a dozen hours of your time. Go to Coachzing.com for more information. Have you joined the Coach Zingers community yet? You'll get exclusive access to private mastermind calls where you can get instant marketing help from industry experts. Plus, we'll help you forge deals and partnerships with other like-minded professionals. Go to Coachzing.com/community to join now.